Thank you for joining us today, Global Village. This is your host, Ahmed Kassem. We have two great guests today. Our police chief from Brooks, County of New York, Tom McNulty, and Ms. Kaltun. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for joining us again. Tom, it's always a pleasure to have you on the program. The crime rate in our area compared to 2012 2013, I believe it's 22% drop. Why do you think is that?
We've seen a significant drop in the crime rate in Brooks over the last year, but more importantly, we've seen it over the last 5 or 6 years. Since 2007, we've had a very nice gradual drop in crime. The mayor and council that are in place now have spent significant resources, or the city of Brooks have spent a lot of money bolstering the RCMP detachment there. Mm-hmm. We've added 5 policemen over that time and 2 support staff. We've built up our domestic violence team. We've built up our crime reduction or safe communities facilitator. Numerous other things are going on in the community as well. Very strong BCIS programs. A lot of work with the youth. All together and under the leadership of our mayor and council and Reeve and council in both the county and the city, all together, it's produced a significant drop in the crime rate.
Wow, that's good. But the forum of the safe community, I believe, or maybe it's discussion for tomorrow. Most of the people are not still registering into that forum, and my personal opinion, safety of the community must be the highest for everyone, every family, and every member of our community. Why would you think is that? Why would you think people are not still registering as the number as we should expect this kind of important forum?
So tomorrow, we're referring to Thursday, March 27th, or February 27th, which is a community consultation day where I've invited numerous people from the community and service providers and the public to come to a facilitated forum where we'll talk about policing and we'll talk about resources and we'll talk about the wants and needs of the community. And we're going to have people come and tell us what they think our priorities should be over the next year. Then I'll report that back in a nice package to both councils. Most people leave it to the police and the politicians to figure out the safety. Unless it's impacting them very personally, most people don't care to be involved. It's a bit of I was going to use the word convoluted. It's complicated. But if we drill down, and tomorrow we've got a very good facilitator in Lisa Tiffin, and we're going to have a very good day drilling down and finding what priorities the people of Brooks want to see.
Well, I'm sure it will be a wonderful day and it will be a success because we have to be engaged in the safety of our community. So if we don't do that, then we don't complain tomorrow if priorities change. So I hope people will forthcome and tomorrow will be a good day for. Kaltun, you want to give us some background of yourself?
I was born in Kenya and I was raised in South Africa. And I came to Canada when I was 13 years old, and currently I work at JBS Canada as a quality assurance technician, and this fall I'm going to the University of Regina.
There you go. So what was the challenge that you faced when you first came?
Well, having grown up in South Africa and coming to Canada was a huge adjustment, but one of the things that were really interesting for me was most people assume you don't speak any English. That's the one thing. And my mom, that was challenging for me and my mom, because people just assume they kind of speak in a slower pace. So some sort of like, I don't know why, but they always assume you don't speak English. And for me, that was speaking English was easy because I've never learned English. It just came naturally. But that was one of the challenges. But otherwise, I wouldn't say I encounter big challenges coming to Canada, because I felt like Canada and South Africa were similar. The only thing was just learning to speak one language. In English, everyone speaks English, but in South Africa, we speak 3-4 languages all at the same time. Like if I was back home in South Africa, I would be speaking 4 languages as I'm saying this sentence. So
Wow.
that was the one big challenge for me.
So you're talking about Afrikaans and all that other
Yes, we
language.
speak, there's 12 official languages in South Africa. I just happen to speak 4 of them. I speak English, Afrikaans, Xhosa, and Somali, which is my mother tongue, and I happen to learn Dutch as I learned Afrikaans.
Yeah, Afrikaans and Dutch will be the same,
It's
very
same thing, yeah.
similar. Yeah, I think because of the most of the South Africans came from Dutch sometime long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you're saying, would they just assume because you don't speak the language English, or just because the way you dress? What do you think?
I think people have a misconception of people that come from Africa. Like I wear pants, I'm dressed Western. The only difference with me is where I wear hijab that symbolizes I'm a Muslim. But I think people have their own misconception about what it means to come from Africa, especially South Africa. Most people think it's a region, but it's a country that just happens to be in the southern part of South Africa, actually. So yeah, that's the lot of conception people have.
So any challenge when you came to Brookston?
In Brooks, not really. The only interesting thing was I didn't expect it to be this multicultural. Like it was unbelievable multicultural. In South Africa, we've seen a few Somali people, but when I came here, there were so many Somali people that my Somali became so much better, and also integrating in the African community too. It was phenomenal. Like you become more African, I think, in Brooks than you would ever be in Africa, you know, and it was just wonderful. Yeah.
Okay, well then you still need to spend some time with other immigrant population and the mainstream Canadians.
Yes.
Then you will probably understand all the fabric of also the Western versus to the other immigrant population, and that will be for. What about the school, the high school?
In high school is interesting because I was still integrating into Canadian society. There was a lot of things my mom didn't understand, like after school programs. We didn't have much of that back home, but that was the one thing challenging. I would tell my mom, we'll be done school at 3:30, but then we would have after school club, and my mom would be like, what is that, you know? So it was really hard for my mom integrating to that sense in high school. For me, it was just that part trying to explain to my mom, we have after school programs, we have to go to excursions and all of that stuff. But as time went by, she adjusted to it. So that was really good for me, and I think it was good for her too. Yeah.
The Chief Tom, the photo radar, I think, is history now in Brooks area that we had. Would that put extra workload to the police in Brooks, as opposed to if you have the photo radar? It will be easier because people will know that they can speed because of the photo radar. It's just psychological. But now taken out, would that add people driving a little bit faster than they did last year?
I certainly hope not. The RCMP didn't have anything to do with photo radar. We don't participate in that at all. The fact that photo radar is no more, we now enforce, and we always have, enforce the speed and the road safety issues in Brooks. We have stepped it up a little bit over the last little bit. But the difference with photo radar, somebody gets a ticket in the mail of $150 or $250, and it doesn't bother them. They just go pay it. When we stop them and give them a ticket for $150 plus 3 demerit points, it makes a difference. So our ticket numbers are up a little bit, and we take the road safety in Brooks quite seriously. And I'm sure that in tomorrow's meeting it'll come out as a priority, traffic safety. But ours have gone up a little bit.
Yeah, because I believe it just had some psychological effect when people were a little bit frightened by the photo radar, because sometimes you see people receiving 5-10. I seen someone told me that they have about 14 tickets in the span of 2 weeks, and I'm thinking, you must need to go back to driving in school or somehow before you just overrun someone.
Well, unfortunately in that program you got them all at the same time. You didn't get them one at a time. But if you got 14 tickets, yeah, there's a way bigger problem there.
There you go. Yeah.
That's a clue to slow down.
Yeah. That's habit of the individual, driving a little bit faster than they should have been. But I think that will add to the demerit point. If the police stop you for speeding, whatever that is, probably you lose 3 points minimum.
Right, and if you hit, 10 or 11, 12 demerits, you lose your license?
Yeah.
I'm not sure the number.
Yeah, you lose your license.
So you won't be getting 14 speeding tickets and still driving. You'll lose your license.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty major price to pay. But it's easy to slow down. It's really easy to do the speed limit. People that speed know they're speeding. If you're going 60 kilometers in a 50 kilometer zone, you know that. You know it's illegal, and I don't understand why people complain when they get a ticket, whether it be in the mail or in person. They know they're speeding. Make your choice.
There you go. And don't start complaining, because that was a free country. You make the choice.
That's right.
Yeah, the coming back is the dropping of the criminality in our area. Is it specific, or is it all in general? For example, like breaking windows of vehicle, or woman walking in the street, somebody banged them or try to rob her purse, according to the online that I was reading from. Or is it all in general, the dropping of this criminality in our area based on the more police that you have, or is it because of the engagement of the community, or it's all in together?
It's all together. Every aspect of our is down over the last 5 or 6 years. We still have a problem with assaults, reported assaults. They're a little bit high. They've also come down, but they're still a little bit high. Most of those come from domestic situations where family members are fighting each other. Quite often it's husband and wife. It's completely across all aspects of the community. It's not a new Canadian issue by, a lot of people believe that it is. So we're concerned about that, but our domestic violence intervention team has made a difference there. I think we're going to see quite a substantial drop in those numbers. I'm certainly hoping we are over the next year. And so as the results of our domestic intervention kick in, we've done a really good job on our domestic violence team. And I think we're going to see some significant differences there.
Yeah, but when you say the domestic violence, which I see a lot of new Canadians who probably have some difficulties also, and the concept of some of them is the misunderstanding between the family members in the house. Sometimes should not require to be called a police, and I'm trying to explain if individual call police, regardless if the woman call or the man call, they will prevent before something escalates. I said that's my personal opinion. But they're not coming because you are a new Canadian or mainstream or whoever called them, they will respond.
Whoever calls, we will respond.
Yeah.
Whoever calls. We are all about safety. We don't want no one, and I don't care where you're from, what religion you're from, what you do, no one wants violence in their relationship with someone else, at whatever level it is. Nobody wants to go to war. Nobody wants a fight. Nobody wants to battle with their schoolmate or their spouse or their parent, especially a physical battle.
Yeah.
No one wants that. In Canada and many other parts of the world, it's against the law. If you're being abused or assaulted, you can phone the police and receive the protection of the police and the community. We go one step further in Brooks, where we assist the offender and the victim. We through our Divot program, we have programs in place that help the offender. So if a male abuses the female spouse, we can get help for the female on how to deal with it. We can get help with the offender and get the two together. We want a healthy family. That's what we're after. We don't want to be putting people in jail or the hospital. We want a healthy family, and we're doing great work to get that done.
So do you think sometimes it might be a cultural issue?
No. It's a power issue. It's a control issue.
Oh, okay.
I'm not a psychologist, or I don't have the background to do it, but most men are physically stronger than females. Very general statement. Where we can dominate as an individual, quite often humans will take advantage. And the more you get to know someone, the more intimate you get, and you know their weaknesses and stuff, it's easier to become more physically dominant as well. Some people are prone to using physical violence against the people that they know best. And that's what we're out to try and prevent.
Okay. Coming from those group that from background of having a men dominant society, what is your thoughts?
I think it's because, pardon me, I think it's because of where we come from. Because we know men, especially in most African countries, men are the breadwinners. Women stay at home, they don't work, they look after the kids. And I think we as Africans, we probably have to adjust our mentality. And also, when we do come to a new country, we have to also gain value from Canadian society, as well as using our values that we come from back home and bringing those two values together and learning something, and learning that men cannot always be the breadwinner. Women can do that too. That men can stay at home. There's nothing wrong with that. But we just have to change our mentality behind that and say, it's okay. I can stay at home if I'm a man. I can stay at home. Or if you're the woman, you can go home. You can go to work. And we just have to change our mentality about that. And it can't happen in a day. It has to happen in the span of maybe 10, 20 years. But someday I'm hoping that mentality will change.
So you think it's okay if your future husband try to cook the food for you? Or
I think any woman would like that, if the guy was in the kitchen and the lady was just up in the living room having a feed on the chair. Any woman would love that. But in the African community, it's nearly impossible to envision that. But we have to start, though. We have to start somewhere. And I think learning the values here, which is some of the values here, are one of the things I love about living in Canada, is that we are, one thing I learned is that men and women are both equal in this country. And that is something so small, but something so significant, And we take that for granted if you come from Africa or wherever you might come from, you know, Asia or South America, you take that for granted, you know, but it's a small step.
So that envisioning of that immigrant probably to reach point where a woman can put her feet on there.
Yeah.
You're looking about 50 years from today, or probably 10 days or 1 year, you think?
I think first thing we have to do is probably educate people, and also, and one way to educate people is integrating and just integrating between the Canadian side and wherever you might come from, and just teaching people this is not wrong, that your misconception is just a misconception that has no knowledge or anything based on. So there's nothing wrong with it. You just have to make the first step, and just maybe in 10-20 years, who knows. But
well, the sooner they change, the better for the society.
Just on that topic, remember that all of my ancestors, Eastern or Europeans or British, Great Britons, came over with the same ideas, that the men were the breadwinner and the women stayed home. It was only 50 or 60 years. 1918, but it was only like 1940 that women were allowed to vote in Canada.
Oh.
Things have changed unbelievably in the last 100 years, and they're going very, very much quicker. So it's not an African or a issue. It's in everywhere. Things are changing in Canada because the will is here, and it hasn't always been like that.
No, actually it isn't. And I think, as you mentioned and Carlton mentioned, is just a progress that the newcomers probably will stand more. The challenge now will be the new Canadians who were born here and the parents who immigrated. That will be a new challenge that I can envision, because that will be a real cultural shock between the two.
Yes.
I seen some children who were born here and the family still having difficulty of understanding, because the kid have this Western-minded view that the parents have their own values, which they don't want to compromise in to some extent. And I hope they will compromise in somehow. Otherwise, it will create another program to prevent such disaster between children and their parents. That's going to be a challenge in the future. The license issue, which I've been asked by some of the newcomers, international driving license, which I believe I did ask you also some time back. Would someone with a valid foreign work, temporary foreign worker that has a 2 years visa or whatever that temporary foreign worker's visa is, would they be able to have their international license be able to drive, or would they have to change to the Canadian license?
If they're here for a certain period of time, they do have to change. I believe I might have misled you on the last time I was here on that anyone who has status in Canada, landed immigrant, any status at all, they must get a Canadian driver's license. If they're visiting, then they can use an international license. So if you travel to anywhere in the world, you can use your Canadian license or an international license for a visit. But once you have, if you're any status at all, so even a 2-year foreign worker permit, once you get here, you must get a driver's license. That's not what I said last time.
Yeah, and that's very clear. So when you are coming as a visitor, then during that period of time, you will be able to.
Yes. If you're licensed back home, wherever you come from, if your license allows you to do that, then usually the local jurisdiction will allow it as well.
And that applies to most of the countries. I've been in Saudi Arabia, and the fact that we've been driving one evening and we've been caught by the police because a friend of mine who was driving had his Ontario license, and he pulled his Ontario license. And the police officer asked him if he was residence or tourism. And he said, no, he's a resident. He said, no, then you can't drive. You need to change.
Yes.
But the fact that he was not aware of the situation, the police officer said, I will let you go this time, but make sure that you change. So it's international uh, concept of changing your license if you have a permanent residence in that country. Unless you are a visitor, then you will be able to drive that. The value of diverse population, the one we have in Brooks, which we are very proud to have too many different nationalities in our. Would that also sometimes comes a challenge when you have a language barrier and cultural barrier, in your own opinion?
Come a challenge in policing? Very much so. To be able to go to a call, to a situation where very few people speak English is a very big challenge. We try to diversify our workforce. My office now has 13, we speak 13 languages in my office.
Wow.
We have access to other languages and interpreters. We need to get to know more people like Fortune who speak 4 languages, and we can use her skills to help us do our job. So through that, we encourage people to come and work with us and volunteer with us. Our auxiliary program, our auxiliary constable program, where people could come and work with us, not being policemen, but they dress as police and they come out and work with us. And if we could get some people with more language skills than what we currently have, especially from the new Canadian community, that would be extremely valuable to us.
No, and I think people will respond to that call, and I think someone like Carlton be able to help, even though she wants to go to Saskatchewan for further education, which is good. Yeah.
But she'll come back.
Yeah. Since my mom lives here, yeah. Definitely.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So what would you like to have achieve from the community? What would you like the community Brooks and County of Newell to help the police?
Just communication. I just need to hear from them to ensure that the service that we're providing is meeting the needs of everyone. It's not, I don't really want to hear anything specific on this way or whatever path. I just need to understand what their wants and needs are so we can fit our service to ensure that they feel safe in their communities.
I thank you very much, Chief Tom, and I think as I mentioned to Chief Andy, you and your colleagues are doing a great job, and you're sacrificing your own life to protect the lives of our community, and that's a very noble thing to do. So that's a noble thing for you and your colleagues doing that every day and night, and we hope you will succeed. And since you joined, I think since you took the helmet in Brooks and County of Newell, there's a lot of improvement from the day that you came, and I hope we will improve further for the sake of the safe community. And I thank Carlton joining today, and we hope you will succeed in your education and in Saskatchewan and come back to Brooks and maybe help Tom and his group for making that bridge of understanding. Thank you very much, Tom. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Carlton.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
This is the end of our Global Village program. This is your host, Ahmed Kassem. I hope you will join us next time. Until then, this is Global Village host, Ahmed Kassem, where East meets the West. God bless you and have a good one.